Do you know what's the sweetest sound in the universe? It's the sound of your name. You know, when you walk into a hotel and they call you Mr. Sardana, welcome back, or Arun, welcome back, suddenly you feel validated, you feel relevant, you matter, you become familiar with the surroundings, and somehow your guard drops. Our name has the energy and the vibrations that make us feel strong, that make us connect with something mysterious. So today we're going to explore through science and ancient wisdom what that energy is and how you can use your name through the name game to find your inner potential. So join me on this journey. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. This is a passage from Marianne Williamson's 1992 bestseller called A Return to Love. We're going to use this passage to set the stage to ask the question, how do we find this light that she's talking about? How do we focus on what's really good in us, what's powerful in us, and not the fear that keeps us down? And the answer is a fun game that we're going to play today. We're going to call it the name game. I believe that our name has the energy and the vibrations that has the potential to put us on a path, or at least show us some guideposts in finding our own inner potential. So we're going to start with my name, and we're going to turn names into acronyms, and each acronym will then be created based on fundamentals of positive psychology and ancient wisdom. This is not just something that we pluck out of thin air and say, oh, this sounds good, let's make this work. This is actually scientific work and ancient wisdom behind it, that if we focus on some of these qualities and values and strengths, they can show us the path to our inner potential. So what we'll start with is my name. Now, that's not a narcissistic exercise. It's actually the way to get things warmed up, to be vulnerable and use your name to find the truth where it resides. You know, when someone calls you by your name, you feel a sense of love, warmth, your guard drops, and you connect with whoever is calling you. There is a sense of connection that your name brings between two people, even when they are strangers. So the bridge that connects you from one to the other is this energy that takes the form of your name. So let's explore that further today, and we'll start with my name. Arun, A-R-U-N. Arun, as an acronym, is representative of how I have lived my life. And frankly, I didn't even know that that energy existed in my name until I fell upon it by accident. I was doing this session on how Oprah led me to my purpose, and I was trying to find an inspiration in her name. And when I thought about how open she is, and how she prepared to get to where she is, and how she's always ready to receive the messages, and how she's always acting on them and has stayed humble, the word Oprah came alive. Open, prepare, receive, act, and stay humble. So then I went to my name. I said, man, this is really interesting. What does my name have in it that are secrets to how I've lived my life, without really examining my life first, but really focusing on the words themselves? So A, my A starts with awareness. Awareness is a scientific concept about being aware of your emotions, emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, awareness of the surroundings, how you connect with it, awareness of you as a common person living in this common humanity, awareness of something larger than yourself. For me, it was almost always awareness of a bigger power that I connected with. That was the source of all of my inspirations and energy. Whenever I felt down in the dumps, when I connected with complete awareness, with a power that existed bigger than mine. And never did it fail me. It always gave me the answers. So awareness has been a big part of my life. Resilience, that's the R. Now, I went through, like many of you, my own traumas in childhood and through the rest of the life. Right? All of us have struggles. All of us have to jump through all kinds of obstacles. But I found resilience in public speaking, in my passion to deliver my messages that made me come alive. I felt this sense of just being awake and being alive whenever I was on stage. And that led me to where I am today, including my career. So the resilience for me took the form of my talent. And when you read the book called The Element that Sir Ken Robinson wrote, he has the most watched TED Talk today on how our education system is killing our children's creativity. I encourage you all to watch it. I read his book, The Element, and it talks about stories of Paulo Coelho and many others about how they were forced to look elsewhere, but through their resilience and their talent, when the talent and passion came together, they came in their element. So resilience, to follow your passion, is a very important aspect of who I am as a person. The U, or understanding, as I would expect my name to reflect, is actually a very deep precept and a necessary condition for the concept of forgiveness. I have never been able to keep the grudges in my mind. In fact, I have this gift for whatever reason that when someone does something wrong, about 3 months, 6 months, a year or two, whatever time later, depending upon the gravity of the event, I forget all about it. I don't remember what the event was. Now I remember something happened, but I don't remember what it was. Because I believe forgiveness is a very important aspect of living and living with courage. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean, if you read Fred Luskin's HEAL model, Fred Luskin is on our scientific advisory board, he leads the Stanford Forgiveness Project. The HEAL model is also an acronym, H-E-A-L. One of the things he'll tell you is that forgiveness is not about recognition that someone was at fault, so you let it go, and now you're back together and you reconcile and you're now happy together as friends and or spouses or what have you. Forgiveness is about shifting your perspective, looking at the same event through a different lens, and doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be buddy-buddy with someone who hurt you. So understanding and forgiveness are deeply embedded in my DNA, and it defines me in how I deal with life. You can say all kinds of stuff to me very soon. It's forgiven, so don't take advantage of that. Then finally is the N. And I could say nurture because I have the archetype of caretaker, but I think what defines me really well is naivete, or being naive. And I don't mean it in a negative way. Being naive means being open. Open to new knowledge, open to new wisdom, open to new things, so that you are always childlike. As my daughters know, I'm always studying. I just finished at age 54 my master's in clinical psychology. And they think I was perhaps the oldest strange dude attending the school, and I was the oldest in class, but that doesn't stop me from learning. And that comes from this thirst that there is so much wisdom out there. Can I capture that somehow and transform some of my thinking to get my purpose unfold in front of myself? And this effort in the open book journey is related to the same concept. I have been buying 5, 10 books every week to learn and absorb and gain more wisdom. So that naivete is about staying open and open to learning to enrich yourself and enrich your life, because so many people have so many beautiful things to tell you, and golden nuggets exist everywhere. So if you're willing and open to accept them, they can transform your life. So now that we've done this exercise on Arun, we're going to let the games begin. I have two gentlemen here who are recording this video. One's Daniel and the other is Wes. So we're going to start with Wes and Daniel throwing some names at me, and I'm going to use whatever knowledge I have of positive psychology and positive traits and signature strengths and convert those names to acronyms and attach meaning to that acronym to see potentially how those names could dig deeper to find the courage and to find the strengths to unfold their inner potential. So Wes and Daniel, go right ahead.
Gary.
Gary is the first name. So let's see, Gary, G is easy, gratitude, right? Gratitude is a huge concept that has been very well studied in science of positive psychology. Incredible number of studies have been done to understand not just the 3 blessings exercise and how gratitude can improve your life and make you more positive and resilient, but Cicero said gratitude is the mother of all emotions, right? So it has a long history. A in Gary is awareness. We're going to go back to the A of Arun. Awareness, again, is coming from the deep annals of science, and I've already explained the concept of awareness, so I'm not going into that further. R, resilience, which perhaps is from Arun. You may say, I'm borrowing concepts from my name, and the reality is that the science has limited concepts that they have studied. So if they repeat themselves, doesn't mean that if I have resilience, Gary shouldn't, right? Because they all lead us to positivity. Y is a difficult one. So let's see, Y. So let's call Y yonder. Yonder is like awe. Awe is well studied in science, the AWE, which is what you feel when you walk into a forest, when you see some sights that just absolutely takes your breath away, whether it be the Niagara Falls or you standing under a small waterfall in Costa Rica with this emerald blue-green water in front of you with parrots and birds singing all around you. That's all related to awe, including a beautiful sunset or a sunrise. So that's Gary. Gratitude, awareness, resilience, and yonder/awe. All right, throw me another name.
Let's go with Jane.
Jane. Okay, Jane. Is Jane related to you by any chance, Daniel?
No, I'm just thinking Spider-Man. Mary
Okay.
Jane.
Mary Jane. Okay. Jane. J, joy or justice. Both very important aspects of who we are as people. Joy also has been studied as to what it really means. Some people equate it with happiness, but it is actually slightly different. Rather than going into the science of it, joy can actually come from achieving justice in life, right? So that could be the connection for Jane. For Jane A, I'm going to stick to awareness because my brain in front of the camera sometimes seizes, so I'm going to capture what I can capture. Awareness that we've already talked about before. N, nurturing. Jane is perhaps a caretaker archetype, like I mentioned I could have been, but nurture and nurturing is a very important part of compassion, and compassion obviously has been deeply studied in science. So being nurturing to yourself and to others is perhaps a vibration or the energy in the name Jane. And E is engagement. Engagement is a concept of flow when you lose the sense of time, sense of self, sense of ego, and you're completely dissolved in the work you're doing. Concept studied by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, well documented in the annals of science on how it brings positivity and positive emotion. So we just finished Jane and we finished Gary. I'm actually going to go to Daniel and see if I can play with that name a little bit, and then we'll go to Wes. So Daniel, to me, immediately that comes to me, the D is diabolical. No, I'm just kidding. So actually let's play with it, right? So let's have fun with Daniel in the negative way, and then we'll turn it into positive, because that's part of human emotion too, right? The good and the bad, the red hot and the blue calm, the dark and the light, right? So let's play with the dark first. Diabolical, angry, nasty, or narcissistic is even better, right? So that's D-A-N. I, let's see, is it Daniel I-E-L? Okay, so I, irritating. You know, he's always irritating the heck out of me. Put this mic here, put this mic there, look in the camera, don't look down. Very irritating. Edgy. And finally, I think he's lazy. You know, we do these interviews and it's like 6 days later I hear from him, lazy. No, he's actually really, really good. I'm just making that up, right? So that's the dark side of Daniel. Let's look at the good side of Daniel, play the game with positive psychology. The first D, daring. Bravery is a concept in Signature Strengths that we'll touch on at the end of this segment. And being daring is very, very important to find the courage to deal with things that are thrown our way, that come from the left field, as we say, that curveball that gets thrown at you. And until you take the risk, you would not ever know what was on the other side of the wall, right? So that's a good quality in him. He's very aware. Deep inside, he has a deep sense of who he is and where he's going. He shared with me how he wanted to be in filmmaking, and this is something that he's very happy to do, but his goal is to actually produce these big films. That's daring, and that's being aware of what you want in life. The N is related to his thirst for knowledge, being naive, like I mentioned in my name. You know, he's always learning. He never assumes that he's reached the pinnacle of knowledge. I mean, he's only 23 years old, but extremely talented. And let's see, we have to get to I now. So the I, introspective. I think as we have been doing these fairly deep segments around exploring sexual abuse, fear, anxiety, stress, our personal potential, how to find the light, I can also see him nodding at times when he hears something that is deeply introspective. So that's part of his vibration, that's part of his nature. Being engaged in what he's doing, as we've discussed before. And the final L, I think he's full of love. I don't know if his girlfriend knows that yet, but I know he's full of love. You know, it's very hard to not recognize when love exists, right? And as Osho used to say, don't just love, be love. And that's what I see in Daniel, is that he exudes this beautiful aura of acceptance, of recognizing who you are as a person, not judging you and letting you be. And that is a form of love that's hard to find. So that's Daniel. Daniel, how did I do on the positive and negative?
Pretty good on the positive. I don't know about the negative.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Wes and just do the good part with Wes. Even though, you know, I can go with W as wicked and weird and all the rest, but I think we'll stick with the good ones, Wes. What do you say?
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think your wife will appreciate it.
Probably.
Okay. So the W, wisdom. You know, Wes went through a deep personal crisis. I'm not at liberty to discuss that, but I think that brought him wisdom in ways that a normal life without such an event may not have brought that quickly. And the lessons that he learned from it, and how when we first met to discuss this project, we immediately connected, because there was this sense of common purpose, of understanding how life is so fragile and a minute can change what was happening prior to that minute and what happens after that. And that understanding, that wisdom, can shift our path almost completely. It can change how we see the world. E, we're going to stick to engagement. You know, he sends me these emails that are like essays on, you know, here's our contract and here's what we're going to do. In fact, the last one he wrote, he acknowledged, I wrote too much, and then he puts ha 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 and a smiley face after that, right? And he's sending that email to me late at night. So I know he's deeply engaged in what he does and he's in a state of flow. And I can guarantee that when he types that email, he doesn't even know that he spent 45 minutes doing it. He thinks it was 4 minutes, right? That's the sense of flow and engagement that I believe he has. And finally, S is spirituality. I haven't known Wes for a very long time, but I do know that a person who is able to connect with what is real and what is important in life in a perspective shifting way, whether it was triggered by an event or not, has to have deep seeds of spirituality. So that spirituality is embodied in Wes. Wes, how did I do?
Pretty well, very well done.
Okay, great. So now I leave this name game to you all with 2 simple instructions. First, go to www.viacharacter.org. It's an amazing 8 to 10 minutes exercise where you'll find your signature strengths that you may or may not have been aware of. So find the best of you first. Don't worry about the negatives in this exercise at all, like we did with Daniel's name. We're only focused on the positives. So find your top 5 signature strengths, even though you'll get 24 of them. And don't be surprised if love of learning is number 24, as it was for me. And I thought, gosh, I'm always learning. Number 24? Well, all that means is that you're not living every minute with that strength. So the top 5 is what you live with. So take that survey. Then, to confirm the signature strengths, go to someone who knows you really, really well. Your friend, your mother, your father, your boss, whoever it may be, your colleague, your child. Ask them, what do they think of you when they think of who you are at your best self? That when they see you in the best light, what are the words that come to mind? How can they express them in sentences? I guarantee you that some of your signature strengths are going to appear in what they tell you about you. So instead of a prompt, you have your friends give you the prompt, and you have the signature strengths tell you your good self, and then you take that and you take your name and you write that down, then go to work and play the name game and make it fun, involve your friends and your family in it, and talk about things that are in your control, and make this time period fun. Whether it is COVID-19 or whatever, whether you're caught in the 4 walls of your home or in the 4 walls of your brain, you can still bring out positivity with the name game. So thank you for joining me on this journey today. Hope you have fun with it. Thank you for joining us today. Before you go, I'd like to tell you about 2 important things. First, a little bit about Karuna, and second, how you can be part of this journey with us. At Karuṇā, our mission is threefold. First, to support and empower youth and women who've suffered unspeakable abuse, neglect, abandonment, trafficking, and all of the traumas that life brings their way, unfortunately. Second, to support early childhood education in disadvantaged communities to help break the cycle of vicious poverty and abuse. And third, to fund well-being research through our esteemed scientific advisory board in areas that are disadvantaged. You can join us in one of 5 ways. They are listed on our website. So subscribe to this channel and subscribe to this website. You may volunteer with us, you can contribute, you can sponsor, you can be part of this journey to unleash compassion and make this world a happier place. Thank you.